Okay, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eileen from the Singapore Police Force Commercial Crime Department. I'll just do a very quick sharing on what you actually need to know. Now, what we are advocating here is that fighting scam is a community effort. It's no longer just police alone that is fighting. If we do investigation, if we do detection, if we arrest the scammers, but yet our victims are not aware and they fall prey, at the end of the day, everything comes to naught. Now, just fresh from the oven today, the top 10 scams, this is the top 10 scams that you can see. Overall crime has actually increased by 11.6%, but if you actually removed away scams, actually overall crime has a big reduction of more than 20%. Now, what I'm going to do now is to do sharing of the top 10 scams. I'm going to talk very fast, so you have to sit tight and pay very much attention because we are only given 10 minutes. Okay, the first kind of scams that I'm sharing is called the e-commerce scam. Well, generally, e-commerce scams refers to the non-delivery of goods and services. So in 100% of our e-commerce scams, right, our online buyers were usually told to pay upfront deposits, refundable insurance fee, additional delivery charges. You know, we have got this particular incredible story. This guy wanted to buy a Huawei phone, which cost about $650, but he was told to pay deposits, insurance fee, delivery fee. At the end of the day, he paid $2,500 already, but yet he didn't even get his Huawei phone. And the most amazing part is that he even helped the scammer to buy Bitcoin at $2,000. So in gist, right, he actually paid $4,500, but he didn't even get his Huawei phone. And honestly speaking, if you were to ask me, I would say that for very big ticket items, just like those e-gadgets, you know, laptops, handphones, please, if you can, go to the shop and buy it, because we have one very big series that is ongoing. It is believed to be perpetrated from overseas, but it's really very difficult for us to arrest because all these scammers are based overseas and it's really quite difficult for us to get them. And in most of our e-commerce scams, right, they actually will link you to WhatsApp, private chat, or will ask you to pay private bank transfer. Now, we always advocate our online buyers to use escrow account. What is escrow account? Escrow account generally means that only if you confirm that you have received the item, everything is in order, then this online platform, it can be Lazada, EasyBuy, Carousel, they will then disburse the money to the seller. So in that sense, right, you are actually protected if you trade via escrow payment. Now, the next kind of scams is the second top scam. It is called the social media impersonation scam. So generally for this kind of scams, what the scammers will usually do is they will use compromise or spoof social media account to post as the victim's friends or your family members. Then thereafter, right, they will ask you for your personal details like bank, handphone number, bank details, one-time password, and on the pretext that you know, they want to help you to sign up for lucky draws. This kind of scams is actually on the rise. Similarly, for WhatsApp takeover, the victims will receive WhatsApp messages from so-called friends or family members, and usually their account are being hacked and they send over like the verification code. Then thereafter, what the scammers need to do is just to go through your entire WhatsApp list and send a message to all your friends, and thereafter, as long as 100% that the scammers send, one person fall prey, at the end of the day, I think the scammers will have won the game. So what happened is that when all this information are being compromised, given over to the scammer, a lot of things is not within our control already. Now, the third type of scams is loan scam. If you can see on the left side of our screen, more often than not, you receive such messages. I believe in most of, as long as you are using handphone, right, I'm quite sure that at least you receive one or two or many, maybe sometimes many times a day, in a day. So the latest kind of loan scam is that it is perpetrated via the e-commerce platform. For instance, the person will offer you installment plan to buy certain handphone. And thereafter, sometimes they will force loan, they will push money to your bank account. Or what happened is that when they push money to a bank account, for instance, $400, they will keep forcing you to pay up. let's say you can pay like every week they make you pay $100 or so. So these are called false loan or loan scams that we always encounter. But a piece of advice here is that if let's say you receive this kind of messages on the left, right, please do not call that person and tell that person off and scold that person. You know, we have got one Sunday whereby the police, our command center, received a lot of phone calls from all over the members of the public. There was this person who sent a message with his handphone number and a bank account, and he asked that person to ask all the targeted person to pay money into this particular bank account, and if they don't pay up, they will kidnap the children or splash paint at the house. So at the end of the day, when police follow up, we did a tracing, we realized that alamak, actually this person is a victim himself. He earlier has received a message from the loan scammer, and he called that person to scold him. So as police officer, we always say, only if you have the capacity to play along with the scammer, otherwise just leave them alone, ignore them. Now, the next kind of scam is called the bank phishing scam. So before I go into it, maybe you just take a very quick look at. So the point here is I want to let you have a very realistic overview of what kind of phone calls to expect from the scammer. Usually the phone call sounds like that. Victims will usually receive SMS, phone calls, emails, WhatsApp, Viber, or IMO. From banks, they will say that your ATM card is faulty, or there's suspicious activity in your bank accounts. They need all the details. Or if not, if you don't provide all this information, your bank account will be locked. So more often than not, that is how they fish out personal particulars and information, especially the one-time password from the victims. The next kind of scam is credit for sex. Now, the ladies here, you can feel very, very safe because 100% of victims are actually male. So either the victim will befriend the scammer or search for sexual activities via the online applications such as WeChat or Tinder, or the scammers will proactively approach the victims. And in most of all these cases, right, the victims will usually be instructed to make advance payment via Alipay, which is through the AXS machine, or purchase iTunes or Google card. And thereafter, when they purchase all this, then they will realize that they have been scammed. No service will be provided to them. Now, internet love scam is something that is very close to our heart because it usually not just cheat the money, they also cheat the victim's feelings. So in many of the cases, what happened is in the past, the scammers will usually use 1 year or 2 years just to deceive the victims to pay up or give them more money. But nowadays, the scammers are so sophisticated that maybe it would take about 10 minutes, not 10 minutes, a few weeks or a few days just to scam a victim. So just a few weeks ago, we also did a sharing with the media. There was this particular case, right, where my officer actually received a phone call from the bank. They said that they suspected that this victim has fallen prey to love scam. So when my officer contacted the lady, she was very adamant that she wasn't scammed, and she told my officer that she's going to get married to this guy. And when my officer probed a bit further, they realized that she has never met this guy before. So after a few hours of chatting, right, my officer managed to convince her to provide that photograph of that scammer. And at the same time, on around the same day, we have this particular another bank officer who called and said that they have another suspected love scam victim. So another of my officer also engaged her. Then what happened is when the officer also convinced that victim to provide that the picture of the scammer, right? To our shock, this picture actually the same person. So in our heart, we were thinking, hey, this one is love triangle or what? But ultimately, when we did an online search, we did our own investigation probe, we realized that, actually the person, the picture that was in the person that was given, right, is actually not the person as claimed by the scammer or the two victims. It's actually another person. It's just an influencer that you can actually get his photo from anywhere. It's actually not easy dealing with internet love scam victims because they are usually in very much denial mode. So no matter sometimes how much you tell them, they just cannot believe that they have been scammed. The next kind is the China official impersonation scam. So usually for this kind, it's very common. You will hear phone calls, you receive phone calls. It's usually phone calls, right? From Chinese speaking official, they will tell you that you are involved in money laundering. Or nowadays, because of COVID, right, they will say that your names or your particulars has actually been misused to purchase or some illegal COVID-related stuff. So what happened is they are usually very fierce, very demanding, and they will tell you to pay up just to bail yourself out. And it's very amazing. More often than not, right, a lot of money will actually be lost. It's just like about 1 month ago, we have this case whereby the victim actually paid 6K. I'll go into the next scam. Okay, the eighth kind of scam is tech support scam. What actually happens is that in the past, I used to think that, oh, the scammer actually plants the kind of virus into our computer, but it is actually not so. So more often than not, the victim will receive phone calls. Even I also received phone calls recently from Singtel, claiming that our Wi-Fi and our modem has got some problems. Then what happened is they will usually ask you to download software. This software is actually a legitimate software. It's actually for those software companies, right, where instead of sending their stuff down, they will ask you to download the software so that they know exactly what what you are doing to your computer. So when the scammer asks you to download this software, usually the victim will download, and whatever that you key inside your computer, right, actually the scammer can tell. And even when you key in your password, right, they can also tell. Once you key in all this information, right, the scammer will actually take over the entire team, your entire computer and the operation and your bank account, and thereafter everything will be gone now. So just a few weeks ago, my officer, was trying to explain to somebody over the phone, and then keep apologizing. I was asking, after she put out the phone, I was asking her, hey, so and so, hey, how come you keep apologizing to this person over the phone? Then she explained that, hey, ma'am, I actually recovered 50,000 for this person. I said, wow, very good, you recovered 50,000. But I said, hey, then why did the person still scold you? So what happened was this victim actually fall prey to tech support scam. He lost 350,000, and my officer only managed to recover 50,000 because the other 300,000 actually has gone overseas. What we want to advocate here is that once the money goes overseas, right, it's actually very difficult for police to retrieve it. Now, the next kind of scam is investment scam. So usually for this kind of scam, right, either the scammers will befriend with the victim, or the victims will come across investment opportunities online. So why am I using the sample that is on the right side of your screen? Partly because it is still generating. Sometimes you can still see in your own Facebook, you have got Yo Yi, got Brian, has got DPM, but all these are fake information, right? They did not endorse any of this investment scam. And what happened is, for the scammers, right, usually if you invest $5,000, they will probably give you another 20% returns very fast. But after that, they will ask you to invest more, and as you invest 50,000 or 100,000, usually you won't get any money back. So if you really want to go into investment, you really have to do a lot of homework. You really have to understand the mechanism. And finally, the final kind of scams, which affects workers, like white-collar workers like you and me. More often than not, usually the scammers will hack into the victim's business email account and monitor their email correspondences. Thereafter, the scammers will then pretend to be the victim's business partner, suppliers, or even supervisor. And they will ask them to transfer money using spoof or hack email. So you can see some examples at the bottom of this screen. Instead of L, they change to 1 or something like that, or I instead of L. And finally, actually, my advice is very much pretty similar to Jamil and Chikin. Really, at the end of the day, we just want you to ignore all the unsolicited calls or callers' instruction. Never to give your personal or bank details or one-time password especially, and do not ever make fund transfer or collect any money for any individuals or from unknown callers. And finally, I just want to share this, our anti-scam center 1-year performance. So the Singapore Police Force has actually set up an anti-scam center last year. So our main job is actually to do swift fund recovery. So in the past 1 year, we've just celebrated our 1 year anniversary and we were in the papers. We have actually received more than 8,600 reports. We have frozen 6,100 bank accounts and successfully recovered $21 million. So when we talk about $21 million, it's not wow, one whole lump sum, 21 million, you know, it's from 300, 500, 1,000, 20,000. Slowly we accumulate over the past 1 year that we managed to recover so much. Our recovery rate so far is doing good, pretty well. That is about 40.8%, and that's based on the number of reports that are referred to our anti-scam center. So finally, if you have any queries, you can email me at spf_asc@spf.gov.sg. If not, you can also call our anti-scam center hotline for any anti-scam advisory. Well, that's all. Thank you.